The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
One of my true favorite people, Les Kinsolving, is with us. He's a correspondent, talk show host for WorldNet. He is the second. I thought he was second senior guy in the White House and the press corps, and we're talking about the failure of the media, the so-called MSM, mainstream media. And Les was famously ignored by Bob Gibbs for a request to be recognized to ask questions. And now the news, now it's Jay Carney. And so you're talking about an experience you had with David Gregory, if you would, Les.
I can't remember exactly what happened, except that I just found that he was very amusing, and he was communicative to me. The people on the front row, there are a number who are polite, but they circulate among themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I have about 5 or 6 good friends in the White House press corps, and then there's a number who are like those on the front row, congenial. I mean, they're courteous and so forth. And then there are some that I have that you could call enemies. Mm-hmm. And there's one guy that waits until I'm recognized, when I am recognized, and he gets up and walks out. But I've gotten used to that kind of thing, and I'm just going to ask the questions that I believe should be asked, whether they ask them or not.
Yeah. I think that it is the story of the constitutional eligibility of the President of the United States.
Oh.
When overwhelmingly, when they look at polling data, people no longer believe the so-called nativity story. Yet, Brian Williams won't do it. David Gregory actually screams at people they should not be able to ask a question, which would be an anathema to...
I would strongly disagree with that. I don't watch much television.
No, I don't either. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
The only things I like are old movies.
And me, I watch old movies and sports.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much... And I watch... Well, why should I talk about it? But I watch like Gangland, and I watch the History Channel, and I watch that kind of stuff. But basically, I
occasionally have watched the History
Channel.
Yeah,
I just reject these guys. I just think, why am I watching this when you know there's another story that's the truth? So when will that time come? When somebody's going to say to Mr. Carney, does the president, and I remember, Gibbs just spinning the story and then trying to walk away from it.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know when that will be. I don't think there's any purpose in my raising it again. Just because there's a new press secretary. I've raised it. It was evaded. And I just don't think to raise the same question the third time.
I understand.
I just don't think that's wise.
Do you ever expect, because I do expect the moment to come. It won't happen on Brian Williams in the Nightly News. It's not going to happen in the New York Times. But it will happen. The truth will out.
Well, I keep hoping.
But
I occasionally find that I'm a subscriber to the New York Times and the Washington Post because, as I explain on the air, I think it's very important to keep a close eye on the enemy.
Yeah. God, I'm sorry.
But I find occasionally they come in with something valuable and good. An awful lot of times I find that they are really bad, and I'm sorry. Both of them are losing circulation rapidly.
Well, the time,
I don't know
how
long it will be before they
fold.
May fold. I don't know. They're losing money on it.
Absolutely, as is the Denver Post here, and you mentioned the Rocky shot. But the time will come, and what they don't understand is they're doing it to themselves.
I know, and they just seem to ignore that election, that last election we had. I'm waiting to see how they do, and particularly I'm waiting anxiously that it is long since time that they put an end to the special funding for National Public Radio and its television equivalent. They are screaming and moaning and so forth and so on, but they should. There's no reason why they have to continue to subsidize National Public Radio and its television counterpart. There's no reason. We're spending over $500 million a year on that, and that is one of the first things that should be eliminated. They have enough. If all the rest of us have to pay taxes, and they don't pay any taxes because they're tax exempt.
Well, we're watching
and
it all.
None of the rest of us have any TV or radio subsidy from the government. Why in the world should they? And that's why I rejoice to see that the House voted them to lose their tax support and tax exemption.
How does all of this story of the constitutional eligibility? This is my last question for you. How does it end, Les?
I don't know. I suspect there is a remote possibility that Obama might run into even greater trouble in this coming year. This year now, he may run into enough trouble where he might just say, "I'm going to be a one-term president."
Yeah,
there's a possibility of that, but I think it's remote. I don't know who they're going to run. That is a terribly important thing because it's very difficult to dislodge a president running for his second term.
Yeah. I mean, I can conceive of a Calvin Coolidge moment or a Harry Truman moment without ever having to admit the reason he's not going to run, and then it would become Mrs. Clinton's. No, but seriously, I mean it's one of the scenarios that I played out in my head. That.
Oh yes.
But there will be a reckoning. It's really interesting, and then I'll give you the last comment. I'm reading there's a lot of really good, new, wonderful books out, and there's a lot of relooking at some history. And this guy has a theory on the truth, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, but first, he said, the truth is mocked. And I think about the notion of birthers and all these columnists and others who used to really make fun of the word birther and attack the birthers as, as tinfoil hat, black helicopter, da-da-da-da. And then that's gone away. Then the next thing is adamantly, vehemently, and physically violent against the truth. And that's the point we are right now.
I've heard these reports.
Right now that's where we are. And then the final step in that is acceptance of the truth. And so we have been through mocking and making fun of the truth, which is what locally it's been done in columnists locally and cartoonists nationally, and then the cartoon strips and the rest of that stuff. Have you noticed, Mr. Kinsolving, they've quit doing that? The next one is adamantly, vehemently, and physically in opposition to the truth, opposed to stop the truth. And we're seeing that. You can show this in religion, you can show it in history, you can show it in politics. And then the third and final step is acceptance of the truth. And I thought to myself, taking the issue that's called the birther issue, we're now on the second step. The first step, it's no longer being made fun of or being mocked by people who legitimately look at the questions. The second part of it is the screaming racist or screaming whatever the hell else is screamed or attacked. But the acceptance is the final one. And I don't think we're that far away.
Well, I think you got a point. And it is a joy to talk to you. And
you're the man.
Don't know when I'll be in Denver again, but if I am, we'll get together.
Doors open, sir. I'll have you on the show. You can host a show. I'll take the morning off.
You dear man.
Thanks, Les.
Thank
Les
you.
Kinsolving, everyone.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.